So Operation Monarch is here, and today we're running down the Operation Monarch update, what it added to Warzone, the gameplay changes that came along with it, and everything you can expect from the event here in Warzone. So as we go along, drop your thoughts below. Are you enjoying the new mode or event so far? What would you change, if anything? Feel free to drop it down below. But if you enjoyed the video, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, do be sure that subscribe button to help us out on that road to 500,000 subscribers while staying up to date with all things Warzone, whether that be loadouts and tips and tricks, or just updates and information like this. We'll keep you posted with absolutely everything, and as well, Modern Warfare 2 content is right on the horizon as well. So stick it here if you guys are at all interested. And finally, if you'd like to pick up any of the new Godzilla vs. Kong bundles in the shop and would like to support the channel a little further, an entirely optional way to do so is by using creator code ESPRESSO in the support a creator function. Seriously, don't ever feel pressure to, but if you ever do, tweet me a picture. I'll be able to shout out some of your generous support in upcoming videos. That said, let's jump into it. Firstly, the update itself. The nice part is there's no update actually required. It's simply just a playlist update, meaning the game will reboot and then you're good to go if you haven't jumped in since the update went out. You don't need to download any title update or any large amount of gameplay data or anything like that, so that's definitely a nice part here of this event. It's just restart and play. Now, in-game, you'll be met with a few number of changes on the UI and menu side of things. Most notably is the Operation Monarch tab, timed for 14 days from now until the 25th. So a 2-week LTM that we have here on deck for this Operation Monarch event, and in that time, you can play the new mode and complete challenges here for Warzone that will give you in-game items and account rewards, with the ultimate goal, of course, being that completion reward of the Ancient Rivalry SVT blueprint. Now, if I'm honest with you, it's a really cool blueprint visually in that art direction in correlation to the Godzilla vs. Kong storyline, and I may go for it, but just kind of as a collector of sorts, as someone that likes to get the rewards over the span of Warzone. But functionally speaking, I don't think that I'm ever going to put this in my loadout. Marksman rifles and Vanguard's armory in particular have been absurdly weak by comparison to other guns, so unless you're throwing intentionally, I don't think that they really have a place in your competitive loadouts, so this might just be a sort of collector's one here for this. But in order to acquire that blueprint, you have to complete the 8 challenges here beforehand. Noticeably though, only for Warzone, not split between Vanguard and Warzone like we've seen beforehand in the Vanguard era events, and also like we saw all throughout Black Ops Cold War, which is kind of surprising, and if I'm not mistaken, might even be the first time we've seen this happen within Warzone. But the challenges include using a Titan Scream device kill streak 3 times, dealing 135,000 total damage to King Kong in a Titan Frenzy event, collecting 3,000 Monarch intel, which shouldn't be too hard if you play the mode. You end up having a various number of ways to collect the intel, and it goes by pretty quick, dealing 135,000 damage to Godzilla in a Titan Frenzy event, playing Operation Monarch for 6 hours total, dealing 500,000 damage to Titans overall, using the Titan Scream device kill streak once, which is kind of odd to me that they have it one for using it once and then another challenge for using it 3 times, and then finally placing the top 30 12 times. Now, as for in-game, Operation Monarch is its own game mode here with this, of course with your standards still around. Plunder Quads is available this week, Battle Royale solos through quads is available, as is Rebirth Resurgence solos through quads, but Operation Monarch is that main focal point. Right now, it seems to have double weapon XP active too, which is a nice little bonus here for playing, but maybe something that's inconsequential to you. But you'll notice from the very first cue card and the start here that this is a different mode. We were told in our pre-briefing and even in the blog post still that it's going to be 60 players. I don't know if it was a server side thing and the lobby not filling up, but mine was only 45 here when I jumped in for my first match. I don't know if that was something that may have been lowered intentionally to lower the chance of or avoid server instability on a larger scale. I ended up having a little bit of frame-by-frame stuff happen about midway through my game, but it also could be something where the lobby just didn't fill up in time because we were on so quick. But Caldera will be sectioned off, kind of like Mini Royale, but also with Resurgence all in one. You can die and you can come back if your squad is still up. So there's also additionally around the map new high-value loot zones denoted in orange on the TAC map with a $ next to the names. And of course, then you have the main focal points here, Godzilla and Kong, who Kong was noticeably cheeked up when we flew into our first match. Just gonna throw that out there. These guys are wild, and honestly, gameplay aside, huge kudos to the art and engineering teams for making this something that actually is possible. Like, this is a pretty big undertaking for one LTM that's gonna be lasting for only 2 weeks here. But outside of that, it's Battle Royale with those sort of hazards that may end up happening. But one of your main sources of economy and one of the biggest parts that change here in the fundamental gameplay is your Monarch intel. You can end up getting Monarch intel in a various number of ways, but the values will vary depending on how you end up getting them. If you get intel out of any sort of cash drops or crates, that will be 1 intel per Monarch drop. Then if you end up getting a Monarch crate drop, that dropped me 20 intel. Now, if you do damage to Titans during a Titan Frenzy, I can't tell what exactly triggers it. My guess would be damage, though it seemed to also maybe be correlated to the number of rounds expended. I still think, though, that it would be damage, but that's something that out of a single 60-round magazine with my STG, I got 13 intel out of that. So honestly, you can rack up intel during those Titan frenzies if you end up choosing to do so. And finally, you can end up getting intel off a dead body as well, which will give you 5 intel as opposed to just 1 that you'd end up getting, say, out of a regular cash drop. But every 20 intel, you end up getting a new piece of equipment, air quote, decrypted. Firstly, at 20, you get a gas mask. 40, you get a satchel. 60, you get a heavy weapons crate. 80, you get a loadout drop, which also you should know this is the only way to get a loadout drop. It's not available in the regular buy stations. And then finally, at 100, your full meter of your intel drops collected, you can get a Titan Scream device. Now, do note that these can drop if you end up dying. So if you have one in pocket, don't let it go to waste. Use that thing where the opportunity may present itself. But a couple of things to know about this before you jump in and use the Scream device is that, number one, there's actually a genuine animation here in pulling this out. It's not like just a UAV or something like that where you can quickly pop and just keep going on with your gameplay. You're going to be vulnerable for a few seconds here at this. Number two, placement can be a little bit weird, so be careful with that on how you place it. And number three, one thing that I didn't notice in game because I was doing things so fast, I was trying to get it placed quickly and keep moving on so I wasn't in that sort of vulnerable state while calling it in, is that you actually can end up choosing if you want to use Godzilla or Kong. You can end up denoting that by left or right on your D-pad. But again, if you're just sort of quickly placing it, you may miss that entirely, like I did. Now, these Titan Scream devices will activate either Godzilla's Fire Breath Trail or Kong's Wrath, in which he jumps down into an area or will throw a boulder. So this is something that absolutely has some hazards to it, so make sure you end up paying attention. It will show on the tac map the sort of radius here of this, but also if you're in that radius, you'll get that notification like a cluster strike or an airstrike or something like that as if it were coming in. So you have that notice that you should get out of there and you have a little bit of time to react. Now, as for the game mode, my overall thoughts and impressions here, honestly, from the bit of time that I played so far with it, it gave me a good first impression. I had fun with it, which is the key factor here with it. Whether it holds up in time, whether it's something that bothers me over the course of the next couple of days, we'll see. But for now, I was having fun. I will say this is a super chill game mode, it seems, and it's something that if you had your hopes going into this that we'd see Godzilla versus Kong fighting, that's probably where you're going to be the most disappointed. I think the overall gameplay itself isn't half bad. It's a sort of LTM with repurposed mechanics, but also brand new mechanics as well. But again, if you were looking for that marketing to be Godzilla versus Kong, there is no payoff here in the end in which they duke it out in the final circle or anything like that. Though, if you do get a win, there's a semi-custom exfil animation, but that's about it. So, I mean, in that sense, it is kind of a letdown where if you had those expectations, it probably won't meet them. But overall, it's a chill, fun mode and something that is a slight breakaway from the monotony that Caldera has turned into recently. So for that part of it, I'm enjoying it. And artistically speaking, I really like what they did here with this. I think that engineering and art-wise, it pushes the boundaries of what Warzone is able to do. This is absolutely the biggest scale actual in-game event that we've had in terms of playable LTMs. So for that, it kind of gets me excited for what we may see here on the horizon with Warzone 2 and the capabilities here we see sometime next year. Now, we are told that there will be Easter eggs here at this. I haven't had the opportunity just yet to end up checking this out, so we'll dig deeper into that and keep you guys up to date if there's anything to report back on with that. But outside of that, the only other thing introduced with this update are the 2 final bundles of the LTM-based Godzilla vs. Kong event in the shop. The Mecha Godzilla bundle and the Kong Godzilla bundles were added in today. The Godzilla bundle already being live in-game as of this past week. Now, I'm not normally one to care about cosmetics, especially in Vanguard, because most of the bundles to date just really haven't been a hit to me, but especially the Godzilla bundles, they're pretty kick-ass in my opinion. And also, for the first time, we have additional rewards being granted for completing bundle collections, denoted in the fine print by explaining that players can unlock the Super Species player card title and a weapon sticker by purchasing 2 of the 3 bundles. And if you pick up all 3, you'll end up getting a legendary Owen gun blueprint to follow, being introduced with Season 3 Reloaded. So after the event itself is completed, that's when you'll get that sort of timed release on that. And all of these bundles are available until June 13th. So for that, I'm kind of curious what that may entail, what that blueprint for the Owen gun may look like, and if it is something that then becomes air quote rare as a result, since it is something collection based. But again, that was introduced today, hence why we're covering it, but do with that what you will. I know cosmetics are absolutely something that are, 1, overpriced a lot of times, and 2, they don't change any fundamental gameplay experience, so they're entirely optional. Now, all in all, that is the Operation Monarch event here that we had introduced today. Kind of curious that we didn't get anything introduced here for Vanguard, but I think that's mainly just because we've seen every single one of these events since Black Ops Cold War that they've shared these sort of content updates across the board from Warzone and the mainline title. This just is that first time where we haven't really seen anything, and it was a Warzone standalone event, which is interesting. But anyways, that's where we're at here at this. But before we wrap everything up, a reminder, check out my friends over at Gamer Advantage. They're a blue light glasses company that I absolutely swear by. I've used their stuff for well over a year now, and honestly, I don't think I'll ever go back. As someone who works at their desk for 8 to 10 hours a day, or sometimes even more, mostly working on my PC, gaming to get B-roll footage for videos, or even if I'm just on my phone, eye strain and fatigue is absolutely something I've struggled to combat for years. I've used pairs off Amazon for like $15, but dude, I've said it before and I will say it 100 times over. Gamer Advantage absolutely gives you what you pay for. That being the highest quality in comfort, durability, and clinically proven effectiveness. They're not just some cheapo placebo pair off Amazon, and for me, I'm a huge fan of those Horizon frames that Gamer Advantage has. They're the most lightweight, and honestly, sometimes I even forget that I have mine on. So if you'd like to learn more, check the link in the description below. If you'd like to pick anything up, use code Espresso and you'll net yourself an additional 10% off your order. But that said, that's the update here, Operation Monarch in a nutshell. Let me know your thoughts down below. Enjoying the update, maybe not so much. Whatever the case, drop your thoughts below. But if you enjoyed the video, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, do be sure that subscribe button is to do all things Warzone, whether that be updates and information like this, or loadouts and tips and tricks. We get you covered. Plus, Modern Warfare 2 content is right around the corner, so make sure you stick it here on the channel. But that said, thanks so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care, and peace.